I first saw the Baxter Thread Master at the Cincinnati Symposium in 2005. Paid a lot of attention to it and did buy one. I bought a for my 16-inch DVR 3000. Came standard with the 16 TPI. Quality throughout. This thing is made as best as you could probably make them. It is a work of art. There's no doubt in my mind that if something happened to mine, I would buy another one without a doubt instantly. There are 7 threading heads available. You take out the 5 screws, take off the head, put the other one on, put the 5 screws back, and you're registered exactly for whichever one you choose to use. You put the head on it that you want to have for most every lathe. Once I bought it, I asked Victor the next year, is there anything you could make that I could use this on my Powermatic 3520B? And sure enough, he made this for me. It fits under my 16-inch one, and it works just fine on my 3525B. This is a 12.5, works on a 10 to a 12.5-inch lathe, and how lucky am I? It fits every one of my 10 and 12.5-inch lathes. Exact same quality as the first one I bought. The adjustments are in thousandths, no slack whatsoever. This one happens to be 16 TPI also. This one has a 1-inch 8 head on it. There's the thousands marks. Accuracy is what it's all about. Now I'm going to show you how you would probably make a acorn, but I'm not going to actually make the acorn. I'm just going to show you the threading portions of the acorn. This here is a piece of African mahogany, fairly soft wood. The one thing you have to make sure is that the male thread has to be 70 thousandths bigger than the female. That's with the 16 TBI. All the other ones have different depths that you have to cut, and I'll let you find that out for yourselves. What you do is touch, and then you can go in 35 thousandths, which gives you the 70. I choose usually to do in 2 cuts. I'll take 20 the first cut. Thread it in. My DVR now turns at 5,000 RPMs if I so desire, and I have had no trouble putting threads on any wood. So I'm threading and doing the distance I want. Now I'll back it out. I'll make a 15 thousandths adjustment Take it out 15 more. And this would usually where you would think you got your 70,000s. But I'm thinking that I'm not sure that I really touched the first time. So after this, and I bring it out, I'm going to make a 5,000, take it out 5,000s more. This is where I make the 5,000 adjustment. Now what happens when I'm backing this back out, I somehow kind of loosen the head, the chuck. If you watch close, you see the chuck stop, and there, right there, I use the handle. I tighten it back up and move it out. Now, just to be sure that nothing's messed up, when I back it out, I'm going to back it off 5,000s and go back through the threads to remove any debris that may have happened when it got loose. Make sure the head was tight. Now I'm going to back it off, and I'm going to just run down through the threads again. It really wasn't necessary, but I did it anyway. I don't usually use 1¼ inch chucks, the big heavy ones. I have lighter 1'8" chucks that I can use. So this is now the female threads are in. For an example, if your female where you started was the hole was 2 inches, you're gonna make sure the male thread starts at 2 inches 70,000. Okay, back it off, and I'm going to take the head off, chuck off. Here's where it's nice to have a couple chucks, because now I can take this off. I don't have to use the same chuck. I have the bottom portion of what would be the acorn. Thread this on, and I'm going to basically do the same procedure, except you have to turn the outside of this one instead of the inside. Now I start moving around like I'm going to move this all the way to the end just by turning the screw. And then I realized that's what the other lever is for there on top. You can lift that lever and move the whole thing. Of course, when I move it, I don't notice that it tips over a little bit, which makes it so it didn't want to move. So I continue moving it with the dial, knowing that it should move by lifting that lever. And eventually I figure out that with the heavy chuck, what it's doing, when I lift that, it's bending, tipping down a little bit and not smooth. Now when I realize that it moves, and it's very quick, I'm making this look so much difficult than it is. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go out and touch. Get it close. Turn it on. Touch. Back to check off. Make your adjustment. And true to form, I turn it the wrong way. So I go in and realize that, uh-oh, I turned it the wrong way. So I go back to where I was. Come up and check to make sure that it's where it was supposed to be. Make my 15, 20 thousandths adjustment. There's the adjustment. Now I go in. And what I'm looking for here is at least three good threads. On the acorn, it doesn't matter. If you're doing a box, you might want to put a stop at the bottom. That means cut a little area out where the threads go through. This way you can, that way you can adjust the depth that it turns on, and you can match the grain patterns in your wood. But with the acorn box, it doesn't make any difference. The top of the acorn hides the threads. Now I make my next adjustment, 15 or 20, whatever, depending on the first one. And cut right back until I get to the end of the threads. This time when I back it off, I turn off the head. It doesn't make any difference whether it's running or not. Now I back it away from the stop, and this is where I check to see if it fits. Now, if it didn't fit, I could run it right back to that stop, and it would register exactly to where it was before. And if I had to make a 2 or 3 thousand adjustment, I would just make that adjustment, and it would cut just that 2 or 3 thousand. As you can see, it turned out that I didn't need any adjustment. This fits just right. So once you've done that, to complete the acorn box, I'll show you basically what is done next. I take the top and I put that in here with the bottom screwed in. This is where you can finish the bottom, finish turning it, which I'm not going to do. I'm just showing the fit. And once you have the bottom finished, you can just take it off and you can finish the top. With the acorn box, it works because you round it off and you leave enough for a stem, and you cut the stem off, your box is completed. With a actual box, you might have to make a jam chuck, or you could make another jam chuck with threads and thread it on and finish the bottom. All in all, it's really easy, it's fun, and this thing is so accurate. And again, I made it a lot harder than it looks. This thing is worth every penny that I paid for it.